Okay, cool. Here we go. So I'm not an expert. I actually don't know how to use this super well. Hi, Anne. How's it going?
Hi.
But just thought, because I think you started the conversation of just asking how to use the content, all that kind of stuff. I had a US assistant for a little while who just did a couple things online. And so she used this quite a bit. So she's the one that kind of was using it for me. And then when she wasn't able to help me anymore, I started trying to figure it out. So I'm getting a little bit more confident, but there is, with Project Broadcast and all of that, there's so much to learn. So don't get overwhelmed. It's kind of, I think it's a great tool if used the right way, in the form of creating like authentic connection. So we don't want it to use it as a tool to like act as a sales pitch for people, but more as a tool to, people answer a text message quicker than a phone call, quicker than a Facebook message. Like texting is like the wave of the future, really. Like that's how people connect. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I've often dodged phone calls and then I'll just send a reply.
Totally.
Like
Yes.
I don't feel like talking to you right now, but I will text you. Like whether it's my mom or my husband or like whatever, like it's just, I think it's easy because we can do it throughout our life, and that's how everybody uses it as a tool. But I actually just noticed, and I don't even know who this guy is. I was going to see if I could find the post, but there was some super famous guy. His name is Mike Todd. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's a like black guy who obviously has a massive social media following. But so one of the owners of the Engagement source posted this and shared it. Okay, so he has 889,000 followers, and he had it was like an Instagram ad that he had, but down at the bottom, what it basically said was like relationship goals, and he's having this conversation, but he's like, personally text me, and he added a phone number, and you have 900,000 followers.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like, I bet you any money he's using Project Broadcast. Let's see if Jake will answer. But like that's, everybody's using texting. Like nobody checks, like I check my email, but anytime I see like any email from Vistaprint or whoever, I just delete until I need something from a particular place. I'll go and search it. So I've been using Project Broadcast kind of every month. Well, for sure for the last year. But I used to, in the past, send out like month-end emails of like, you missed your ER, you're potentially missing commission or going inactive. Now I send all of that via Project Broadcast, and I actually get better responses. Like 2 or 3 months ago, I used to have like a picture and a big long blurb, and I'll share any of the content that I have with you guys. But I used to send more of an explanation for like, for instance, going inactive. But 3 months ago, I had this brainwave, and I was like, what if I just said, hey friend, just wondered if you wanted to keep your Young Living account active. Let me know. That was it. And I was like getting response after response after response, which not all of them reactivated. But the point is that I was able to facilitate a conversation of like, okay, so what product are you using? Are you enjoying that conversation? Well, hey, did you know I actually do this weekly online class? And it was just, I was able to just start a conversation, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity before. So I feel like it's a better tool. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'll share this. So this is just I
still have yet to figure that out.
your screen. Okay, let's stop. Oh, it won't show me. Okay, so if you see along the bottom of your screen where it has the mute, video, invite, participants, and then do you see the share screen button?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So typically only, sorry, I'm getting a weird phone call. I'll ignore that. Typically only host of the call can share, but then it'll give you the option, like I could share my text messages or whatever's open on your computer. You can click just one thing. So if it was a PowerPoint, you could click the PowerPoint kind of thing. So I'm just sharing with you my Safari browser, but I need to figure out how to move this taskbar out of my way. Whoops. Okay. So on the engagement source page, I don't know if you guys had time to check it out, but it does go through a little bit of information. She has a bit of a video, kind of explains like what you would get for your $25 subscription. And I don't get anything for recommending it. The only reason why I like this is I don't want to create content. I don't have time for that. I just want something that's done that I can tweak it and it sounds like me. So they have like the weekly tips. They do monthly promotions. They have like classes. So you can do like a text class, which I've done before, all sorts of things. And I just feel like for $25 a month, even if I used it for one thing, it just made that connection with my members easier. So it kind of goes through testimonials and then how it works. So you join the community, which all of the content is on a Facebook group. So that's usually what gets a little confusing. It's not on their website. And then you import the content and then you would like text back and forth with your members. So that's just on their website. But then, so once you have a subscription, you actually get added into the Engagement Source private Facebook group. And typically, like when you log in, close all these conversations, she has like, there's just so much stuff in here that it can get kind of overwhelming to figure out what content you're looking for. So the best way is to go under her units tab. And then she just basically has like getting started and it explains each section. And when you click on a post, so for example, the January Canadian content, I'll just do the January promos. So you click on it, it'll take you to her post and basically explain step by step how to import it into Project Broadcast. And if you guys wanted to, I could always, when we're done, you could send me each of your phone numbers and I could add you to my Project Broadcast and send you like, say, my promo text, just so you can see what it looks like. So she'll have kind of the details of how to do it. And every time they have one of these posts, there'll be a link to the training video. So you could click on that video and then it'll bring you to see how to actually import her content. So, and then they do up all the graphics. So basically what you would do, I'll maybe just see if I can do like a trial. Can you, and every time I switch windows, you guys can see me going into things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to copy the bundle code and I have to log into Project Broadcast. And if you guys have questions along the way, just stop me. And then I'll just give you kind of a overview and then we can ask more questions. But I personally prefer to use the Project Broadcast on my desktop rather than my phone. Like once I've sent everything and set it up, I'll text back and forth on my phone, but I just find it easier on my computer. So if you click on the More tab, that's where you'll find the bundles. Am I cutting out?
A little bit.
Okay, shoot. My internet's super crappy sometimes. But I already have the promos, but I'm just going to go up here to this cloud and the arrow. And that's where you can put in it's called a shared ID, but you'll put in their bundle code and save it. And see, it duplicated it twice here. I'm just going to minimize this. But then on the right-hand side, it shows TES. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. It just means the engagement source. So all of their content, when you import it into Project Broadcast, will start with that. So at least it's organized and you can see where their messages are. And then it shows the January promos. So then it'll have, in each time you import something, it's going to have instructions. this maybe wasn't the best to choose because it's got 2 options. But for January, all I did was promos. They had an option for a nutritive cleanse, and I chose not to do that. But so once this bundle is imported, it's actually going to be listed in your templates, which would be on the left-hand side. And then I'll scroll all the way down to templates. And then I just have to find the January promo. So then here's your message. So that it's just got the title, but then here's the message that she has set up. I'm just gonna click between. One of these I edited. Oh, sorry. So the top one where it says January cleanse response info, just ignore that. This one here, just the basic January promos. This was what I had done. So initially what it looked like was just this short text, which says, hi friend, happy fresh new year, blah, blah, blah. I ended up editing mine and I did a short newsletter. But so this is like the content that would be in the text message. That would be the verbiage, and then it would have one image. And so once you have that set up, then you would import your contacts and add that to a list. So maybe I should just pause and see, okay, so who so far is actually using Project Broadcast?
Not yet.
Okay, and Anne, are you using it at all? Little bit? Okay. So Dana, if you needed more help figuring out how to do all the other, like, because in the beginning, using Project Broadcast is super confusing. Like there's just so many places to go, but that's why with the engagement source, they have all the tutorial videos of, okay, here's the content. Now click this video and it'll give you a step-by-step and a visual of how to actually import it. Yeah. Because once now I have my promo, January promo text set up, I'm going to go in and import a contact list. And you would import a CSV file, which you would get from the virtual office.
Right.
And then your next step would be to schedule your broadcast. So you would go to the little plus sign, you click on the little paper clip. Nope, wrong one. Oh, this paper one is the templates. And then you would search for the right template and pop it in a message.
It sounds like a lot, but honestly, once you get into it and start playing with it, it's not that bad.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you guys just like, you ask people if they want to do it, or you just do it?
So when I first started, I sent an intro of myself to everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly, so I would pop a message in here.
Yeah.
And you would select your contacts.
Yeah.
So you can individually click on people's names if you wanted, or you can click the little clip there and you can search like a group. So what did I do for, I can't remember what I called it. Yeah, so whatever my list would be, this was a holiday promo list. So I had 584 people for that list. And if you would select okay, it would add all of those people.
Okay.
I'm not going to bother. And then you can schedule the date and time, which one thing I do always recommend when you're scheduling a post to more than one person, I would always schedule it a few minutes later so that it shows up in your history. Because I've selected like date and time and selected it as like the exact time, but then it doesn't show it in my scheduled post history. And you can't, it's harder to find if people didn't get the message.
Right.
But you had just asked, like, so for new people, I had a couple different intros that I did where I sent like a picture of our family, a little introduction, and a little bit about me, what my regular phone number was, the community group that we want to plug people into. And so how I started is I added everybody, well, excluding like my huge leaders that I'd already discussed it with. So Jalene's team, obviously I didn't send it to because she's handling her group. And then I had another gold and a silver. I can't remember. I think there's three legs that I omit. So every time I pull a report, I have to omit those 3 legs.
Right.
But I send to everybody else outside of that, just so that they knew who I was. But then the other thing to note is, so say you started doing that now this month, every month you have new people join your team. So then the beginning of the next month, you have to make sure you send another intro to the new people.
Okay.
So because every single month you're pulling brand new brand new contact list, because it's forever changing. So for the promos for January is for January people, but then we had a whole bunch of new members. So I'd have to send an intro to them before I sent the promo message for the month, if that makes sense. So sometimes like it's just a little bit of, I have now on my calendar, like the first week I do these 2 tasks. So I do the new members and the like newsletter promo text. Then the second week I'll send it out to people who are inactive, like send a quick message and try follow up with them throughout the month. And then usually the last week, like around the 25th is when I'll reach out to people whose orders haven't processed, potentially missing commission, and just those 2. But then within all of that, you can send like a class text. But there's some messages that will have an opt-in option. So for example, this month, if I wanted to do a text class, I could go into the engagement source. I got to move all this stuff around again. All the windows go right in your way. So if I went back to the engagement source and decided I wanted to pick one of her text classes, like oils of the Bible or whatever. When you import those, the first, maybe I'm trying to think of how I could show you. So it's called a campaign. When you have a class that has multiple text messages like connected.
Right.
So Megan.
Yes.
On the engagement source Facebook group page, whatever it is, do they release one class every month? I just got like a quick scan of it there. Is there one class per month that they release, and then they have their previous available content there forever, or how does?
So not everything stays forever necessarily, because some are just monthly based, but they have what's called this, and I haven't done this yet. This is something that's kind of on my list. I really need to hire an assistant to help because I feel like I'm so behind on a few things. But they have this new member drip campaign, which I think is amazing. It's just getting it set up and facilitating it properly, where somebody would join, you pop them into this funnel, and they would get texts kind of all the time. But so this is always here, the funnel. And then there's some opt-in type classes. Then in the January content, she's got, so yeah, it looks like just one class per month. So the nutritive cleanse, the promos, the weekly oily tips, which I haven't done yet, and then the emotional oils class. So actually 2 classes, and then weekly tips.
So does she still have December?
Yeah, but then there's
classes available or no?
So December is still in here. And then she also has timeless content, which is like ideas for inactives, essential rewards, intro oils on a budget. So there is quite a few. Clean home with thieves. And to be honest, like, so I do love, she just recently in the last few months got Canadian content. So obviously for promos and those things, we want Canadian content. But when it comes to like a cleanse class, I am okay. Not everybody, it depends on your personality type, but I'm okay to send a class that doesn't just have Canadian product.
Yeah.
And I'll just take the time to introduce them to NFR and explain how to order it. Yeah. She has a bunch of training videos. So Project Broadcast, like this Unit 9, is all Project Broadcast training videos, like how to import the bundle, how to import contacts. So often, usually monthly, I'm like, okay, how do I do this one step again? And then it's just, you watch a quick minute, however many minute the video is. And then what's this last thing? Strategy sessions. I don't really know what all of this is for. But so it looks like she's got 2 months worth of content that she'll save. And I think the only reason why they delete the old stuff is because the page has so much content.
Right. And it's probably a fairly active group, hey?
Yeah, like they've got 1,100 members in it. But yeah, they do so any of their content, they do all the photos for it, which is great because then it's just new promo photos and stuff like that. And the cool thing is once you import something, so I had been, even if I wasn't using a class, I was importing it into Project Broadcast just so I'd have it. I need to likely go and organize it again. But so yeah, those are all just past images from content she's done. So you can always just use one of the pictures. What else does she have in here? Oh, and I was going to show you actually, what's the name of so the newsletter that I do, because again, I don't have the time to create everything, was actually from another site that I pay for it's called Grow Workspace. And I have a subscription there. I'm going to change it just to the minimal one because I only really use the newsletter, but I feel like it's just something to have a quick beginning of the month text message with a link for more information. And then I add all of my classes so I think I go under here. So this website, so it's growworkspace.com. All of her content is on the web. So she has a ton of classes, and I haven't used all of her, I haven't used her classes. So how it all worked that I got this content was my US assistant. She had the subscription and she had decided she was going to cancel it. And I was like, well, why don't I just take over your subscription? Because she had paid for a ton of extra classes. So if you guys need anything, just let me know. And you can go in and I'll just go you can view a lesson, and she's got sway, so for instance, for this Why Young Living, there's a sway link, a Project Broadcast, webinar style, home class, Facebook content. So you can click on which way you want to use. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's amazing. But why I have this subscription is this is where she has the monthly newsletter. So I'm just going to view it and show you. And she just got Canadian content too, because before this assistant was using the US newsletter and changing everything around. So it was Canadian and importing my own graphics, or graphics that somebody else would have done in Canada. But you can click on this newsletter. So the January, and then it's called a sway link, which is something that I was new to. But it's an editable link through Microsoft. So once you go into the link and you log in, you can basically edit all the information that's in this newsletter. So where's my previous link? I wonder if I can, I was going to see if I could pull up kind of how I changed it. Because I usually delete quite a bit of information because I don't want things overwhelming for people. I just want simply here's the promos, here's some new stuff happening, and here, check out our classes. And I seriously don't get fancy. But, okay, so this is what mine would have looked like. So it said, Happy New Year. They had this little blurb at the top of let's be a goal getter, the abundance graphic, important information. So I just put, which my hyperlink didn't work. The Live Your Passion. And then I listed some online classes happening and our in-person classes happening. And you can hyperlink things so then people can just click on it and then, here's your online class group. And I can just click add. And then the
So you sent that all through Project Broadcast in a link.
Yes. And so I can send that to you guys if you wanted. So I sent out this teeny message. So, hey friend, Happy New Year, blah, blah, blah. And within that message had this Sway link, which then brought them to this page with more information. And then it had more details on the promo. Just so the text message wasn't super bogged down with information. I just noticed I missed a message from Megan. Okay. She's in the mountains, and you maybe knew that. How do I don't know where my toolbar went.
So right now I'm doing a monthly newsletter that my graphic assistant is just helping with. So she just creates it, like she's just creating a graphic. And then I have like a short little text that goes out with it. Again, trying not to overwhelm, right? Trying to simplify things. But that link might be a good suggestion, because then it can, if they decide to, right, they can click it and go to get more information without being too overwhelmed.
And I think for Grow Workspace, so they do have a free trial. Their pricing, and it's like, you know, I cut back on a ton of things. Like, we don't want monthly memberships everywhere, but the basic plan was $5.95 a month, which got a newsletter, this IPA calendar, which I haven't used, and 90 days of IPAs and lesson worksheets. So I don't really know what I get emails about these IPA things, but I haven't had the time to read them. So just for the newsletter would be $5.95 right now.
And that's US?
That's US. But I always try to think about, okay, so if I'm having 3 subscriptions like Project Broadcast, Grow Workspace, and Engagement Source, how much time is that physically saving me on putting this stuff together? Because like if it saves me 3 hours, it's worth it. Because if you take your income and say divide it by however many hours you work that week or that month, so maybe you only work 80 hours a month. Like, we're all full-time, but probably don't put in full-time hours all the time, right?
Yeah.
So my husband always says too, like, okay, so if your time is worth $250 an hour, why are you spending your time doing this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know the numbers, but just to kind of like find ways to simplify things, because I find follow-up personally really challenging, and I don't always want to pick up the phone and call people. So I feel like texting is just a simpler way for me.
Yeah. How do you get those? Oh, go ahead, Mel.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to ask one quick question while I actually have service. So I use Project Broadcast a lot. I love it. I feel like there's good success with it. But my question with Engagement Source, which I'm curious about, I see a lot of people post about it in the Project Broadcast Facebook group, but I'm curious if you've used any of the Canadian classes and how good you find them and relevant, and how much editing are you having to do? Or if you haven't done it, then that's fine too. But if you know how much editing you feel needs to be done to the classes that are there.
Yeah, I don't always think there is that much. I'm trying to think of the last class I did. I did like this candle swapping one, which was kind of like a toxin-free home. And honestly, I didn't think there was that many. And it also depends on how long so whether it's a 5-day text class with like, 5 little paragraphs, or are you going through the 90-day funnel, it's going to take you longer to edit. I always make sure to read it and just kind of like, there's some things that like, well, that doesn't sound like me, and I would edit it. But I honestly don't feel like I'm rewriting things. But I'm also like the furthest from green. And like,
me too.
I don't know. I've like, partially want to use my words wisely, but like if there's something that's not 100% compliant, like I'm not super worried about that personally, because then I can just have a conversation and explain things more. So whereas like I have one girl on my team who's a gold and she's like very green. So every time we do a meeting, she'll be like, okay, well, and I just kind of laugh and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't care. Like I don't care if it says use coconut oil and I used grapeseed. I don't care. Like I don't know. So hopefully that answers your question, but I do edit a tiny bit, but I've never had to spend like a ton of time. But I've probably at this point done like maybe a class every second month. I haven't got into the rhythm of offering a text class every single month, but also trying to keep in mind that I don't want everything to always seem like I'm always sending promos or I'm always sending, like I want it to be more personable. Yeah.
So one thing that I was hoping to start, or I guess that's why this conversation got started, was that I want to do a monthly event, just like as a text back, what's it called? Like text back like a word, yeah. And then they can be opting into a text class for the month. So then, I mean, by the end of the year, you'd have multiple classes and you could maybe even send out a broadcast afterwards saying like, these are all my text classes or something like that. But instead of sending it as a separate message, I'd like to just include it in the monthly newsletter that goes out. So they have the option right there. It's one message. I'm not resending as well, because I know that takes points or whatever it's called in project broadcast world.
Is super cheap. Like I always try to remind myself, because there's been a few months that I'm like, holy shit, I've used like a lot of credit, but it's 2 cents a message. And they do have an option now, which I haven't tried. It's $5 a month added on to have, if you find that you're having those conversations back and forth. So not just your initial scheduled message, but you're chatting back and forth a lot. They have an unlimited chat offer. So just depends on how much you go back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's fine to add that in. So like you'd want to keep your initial first message of the month with like your promos short. And then if you were adding a link for a newsletter, but then at the bottom say, hey, like we're having this text class, text back, whatever the word is, learn, and they'll be opted in. I have found a few times where the opt-ins don't work. So you do have to monitor your messages quite a bit, because people will text learn. Like I've done things the wrong way so many times that you eventually figure out the right way. But then I would apply those keywords manually, which is fine. It's easy enough to do.
Sorry, you're cutting out there, Megan. I didn't catch last.
Oh, sorry. So if you have your message in like your opt-in at the bottom of your initial monthly text, you just have to make sure you monitor your project broadcast account after, because sometimes people will send the word like learn and they don't actually get opted in. So you'll have to manually add them, which I've had happen a few times.
Or the word is tip and they put tips.
Yeah. Or like they'll respond and be like, oh, this is awesome. So great to hear from you. Tips. And it's all in a chat message, not just a word. So yeah, and there's a way that you can apply the keyword right in their message, but it actually texts them that word again and they see it. So there's actually a back end way that they don't actually see you doing that. Because there was one member that the keyword wasn't working. And I kept putting like, I can't remember what the word was, but like tips. And it was like a whole bunch of different times. And I talked to this Tanya and I was like, can they see that? And she's like, yeah. So finally I was like, oh, darn, like technology, sometimes it doesn't work the way you want it to. So sorry about those messages, and just like laughed it off and they were fine with it. But then found a way you can remove them from the opt-in and re-add them so that they don't see all the stuff. But
Hey, Megan, on that one, that's happened to me before, and I figured out this week actually, and so maybe it's helpful. A really simple way to do it, you just go into the contact. So let's say it's you. I just look into my contacts, go to Megan, and if you scroll down, you can add to campaign without having to hit a keyword. So
really,
like for new members, for example, instead of applying the word new, I can just go to the contacts and add you directly into a campaign. So they'll just start
don't
getting
see
it
it.
without having to get it.
You can do that also in the campaign, I think, and in the template. If you go, like, you know how it breaks it down and then there's the contact section, you can open the contacts and manually delete the person and add them there too. So there is a couple ways to do it. I just had to do it wrong, like, probably 10 times, and then figured out the right way.
We learn best by doing.
Yep.
Right.
And then one thing I would say, so for Danny and Mel, because you guys are in the same team, like you'll just have to figure out what works for you. Either Danny, you would just totally omit her group, or if you were going to send the occasional text to the whole group, you guys decided, like couple times a year that there's something and Danny needs to send a message to everybody, you'd want to make sure still to introduce yourself to Danny or to Mel's people so they at least know who the text is coming from. Because I have had, who the hell are you and how did you get my number? Which I always laugh.
I've had that when introducing myself.
Well, and you have to just like, because you're a member of Young Living.
Yeah.
And after they're like, oh, okay. And then I've had the randoms like, don't ever text me again. But
you know what? I this week, and I was actually going to share it with you, Danny, after this, and I can show it to any of you guys, but I saw it in a Project Broadcast group. I think it was in Project Broadcast or maybe some kind of Facebook group anyway, about the most positive feedback they've ever had from a Project Broadcast text was something like this. And it just kind of gave a little bit of a blurb. And it was basically the idea of, hey, like it's a real person behind this text, I haven't heard from you, or something to that effect. And I didn't pull any reports to see who's been engaging or not, but I just started the new year with a new text to everybody saying, hey, it literally started with, hey, with their name, and saying, have you ever wondered if it's a real human behind the text messages that you get, with like something a little funny. And then I introduced myself and who I was, and I introduced what Project Broadcast is. So the fact that this is not my real number, but this is a text thing, so it's going to go to an app on my phone if you choose to text me back, and just really something human. And I had insane feedback from this, and I'm still responding to some of the messages, but I did get a couple, even with the introduction, to say, please remove me from all of your lists, was one of them. Who are you? How did you get my number? But the cool thing is, only one of them ended up ending badly. All of the other ones that said, please remove me from your list, ended up in a positive conversation. And one of them even now is going to be ordering, because she said, please remove me from all your lists. I only ever ordered oils for my dog's broken leg. So I just used that and took it into a conversation. And then by the end of it, she's like, I'm so sorry. Now I'm laughing, and I asked you to remove me, but now I actually want oil suggestions. So all of that to say, the introduction of yourself is super important, but I actually think not only that, but introduction to what is the texting thing, because a lot of people, they think, well, because they're right, that it's an automated thing. They don't realize it's really you. So just letting them know how they can use it, and then they can text you back, and how that all works. Like I've been using it for a long time, and I've never had that positive of an experience with it, but I think it's because people didn't really know what it was about.
Totally. And I've started conversations often about, like, even though I'm sending out the promos and people say, oh, I don't need anything for a while. And I'm always like, that's great. I just want to help you use what you already have. So what's your favorite product you're using? What's left on your shelf? Like, just to start that conversation, and then they'll think, oh, I should actually grab that and use it. And the more we can get them using it, the more they know they're going to need more. But yeah, I do really like it. But you should share with us that, Mel. If you have, I wonder if you can create a share bundle.
Yep. Yeah, I can share any of my stuff. I've got, like, I send out to new members. I do the weekly tips. And oh goodness, there's a few different things, but yeah, I can put all my stuff into any kind of bundle and share it.
Do you create your own weekly tips, or you've been using the engagement source ones?
I've never used Engagement Source, which is why I wanted to tune into this, because I do create a lot of my own stuff, but I do use the Project Broadcast Facebook group, and I will download bundle codes from there, but then I edit them. So like the weekly tips one is from that group, but I did do a lot of editing to it because obviously it was American based, which I'm like you, I don't care if it's, it's a picture of a vitality oil. I don't have any problem with that, but a lot of it was kind of irrelevant, I found. Mm-hmm. So I did do a lot of editing to that one, but otherwise some of the stuff I create myself, and I'll take bundle codes from them and I'll just do a little bit of editing to it. So yeah.
I find the US, like the Project Broadcast Facebook group, I find it super helpful, but I can't help but think that like our team alone, or here in Canada, we each have so many different bundles that we're either trying to develop ourselves or excuse me, recreate or grab and like rewrite, basically, that each one of us probably has at least 5 or more likely to offer that we could, I don't know, just create our own group or something and share. I don't know what the easiest way to do that is, but I am super financial crunchy. So I also am, conscious of spending the $25 US a month when it's something that I may have to edit anyway. Like, I trust you guys and your editing skills, but when you don't know where it's coming from, right?
Totally. One thing we could do is, even in that Gold Plus, like the Thrive Gold Plus group, there's a way that you can create a document that's editable. So we could just put like shareable Project Broadcast bundles, and then anybody can edit that post and add like, here's my new member, add the bundle. So it's not a whole bunch of messages or another group, but it's just rather file. And in the file, instead of, sometimes I find even when there's like 100 comments, like who has time to read the comments? Whereas if you fill up and it looks like a PDF, it just seems more organized. I would say that's the one reason that I had liked the engagement source. Like Jake's group is awesome and there's a ton of content. I just found some of the, like, there's just so many comments and so many posts. Not organized. Whereas the engagement source, she organizes her stuff. So it's way easier for me to find it in the first place. But in Jake's group, I have done this before, where you could just search a specific thing, but then you just got to filter through how many people have shared a bundle code and which one you'd want to use. So
right.
That's awesome.
So say, for example, the January newsletter from the engagement source. I think that you said it was from the engagement source. There's nothing stopping you from sharing that bundle code with me, right?
So
is there?
The newsletter is from, what's it called?
Grow Workspace.
Oh, Grow Workspace.
Workspace. So how could I do that?
Okay, so just pretend it was from engagement source. Sorry. But they're like, the bundle codes, they don't have something stopping you from sharing it, right?
No.
Or do they?
So if there was something you wanted, you could just say, hey,
can
you look for
you
have this, and we could just share a bundle code with you for sure. Yeah.
Because I do find it a bit, like, I try not to get overwhelmed, obviously, but like you said, it's hard when there's all these different things that you can plug into and pay for a month. But I find if I'm not utilizing it 100%, then it's not worth my money.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm only going to use the one thing on there a month for 25 US, right now where I'm at in my business, it's not worth it for me. But yeah, I guess it's just different. It's different for everybody and what you want to do with Project Broadcast, for sure. Like, I'm not at the point yet where I can, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not at the point. I could. I just don't have time right now to do like all the things on Project Broadcast. But I do have a couple things in mind that I want to start implementing.
Totally. Well, why don't we do that even to start? I don't think Jolene would care at all to just start like one post that's a document of shareable project broadcast bundles. And we can, whoever has bundles they want to put in, like I can throw in a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
then,
Yeah, because I'm sure there's others outside of our call here that, you know, are utilizing project broadcast, I would think.
like I think Jolene I don't know if she uses it every month. I know she has used it quite a few times. Who else has been using it? Well, Megan Marr.
Hannah.
And
I know Emma. Oh, sorry.
Emma does use it, and Hannah Johnson probably. So yeah, there's quite a few of us too. Because it's just
I don't think Hannah Johnson does use project broadcast actually.
Oh,
She messaged me the other day saying that she has a whole bunch of scripts for like events that she has done up, but she's never used project broadcast, so she didn't know really what I was talking about. But yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea though, Megan.
Mhm.
One other question I had regarding either the engagement source or just in general yourself, have you used project broadcast? One thing that I really want to implement in 2020 is something getting sent out to my business crew. So I think that, yeah, this is great for our members for sure, but I think that we can really make a difference with our business builders too, because like you said, not everybody sees Facebook posts.
Yeah.
So if they could be getting something powerful that's coming right to their phone, like weekly tips even, right?
Yeah. So with that the only not a challenge, but the thing that you would have to figure out is with your business people. So what I would do is create the content. You would have to have it as an opt-in, because the only reason I say that is it would be harder to pull a downline viewer list in one of those CV files, because the way the downline searches, like the downline doesn't know if it's a business builder or not. But you could have your weekly thing or your monthly thing for your business people, and then create that, but it would always be an opt-in. And then you would post it, say, in your Facebook group and say, hey, we have this going out, make sure to, opt in. So you'd want to remind people in your Facebook group to opt in to be getting the stuff.
What I've done yes, that's true. What I've done in the past though is just pulled like Star Plus leaders or senior star leaders or something like that, and then send it out that way. But I do like the Facebook reminder too, which I don't think I've ever done actually, because I don't know why. But that's a good idea, because lots of people don't always have their cells on their account, so they're not getting it.
Which, you know what? I've found more people have their cell phone than their email, because more people are opting out of emails, but then they have a phone number on it. And I would say, like, nowadays, at least 95% of people have their cell phone listed on their account over their house phone. Because how many people don't even have a house phone anymore? Like, there's a lot of people that won't pay for a house phone just because it's an extra cost in a family budget. Like, we live in the country, and I don't know. If both my husband and I aren't home, I feel like we need a phone for a babysitter or whoever.
Yeah. Yeah, we have crap service here in Manitoba, so home phones are still a thing here. But yes, I do get what you're saying, because lots of people who live in the city or in towns don't have the home phone.
And you could even, because if it notices it's a landline, it won't send the message. Like, it won't, you know how it used to send the robot messages? Text it to a landline, it won't do that. But you could put the reminder in your business group too. If you happen to have a landline for your contact number, please, like, this is how you'll go in and update it, just so that people, at least your business people.
From the ones that you've sent, is there a report afterwards that you can pull from the ones, like, I know it shows you the ones that that didn't send, but it doesn't show you the ones that are home phones? I haven't discovered a way to figure that part out.
So that's a good question for Jake. I don't think there's a report.
Okay.
You can see, so in your scheduled message, I wonder if let me see if it'll show. Usually in your scheduled message. I don't know where, oh, I gotta go like this. So in class, no, that was when I opted in that one, girl. These were opt-ins for things that didn't work. Trying to find like a bigger list that I would have sent to people. Like it should show sent and unsent in your schedule. But the only like, yeah, that's kind of the only way. And then when you import your list, it'll show the error people.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I have run into is I have a number of people, which drives me insane, who have enrolled new people and put their own cell phones on the account.
Yes.
Like they'll enroll their daughter or whatever, and then like, yeah. So here's a message that was sent. So this was inactive account. So it shows 98 people, like total was 108. The 98 people went through, 10 were unsent. But when I look here, is those 10 people were do not contact.
Yeah.
So it'll remove them. But so another thing too that I've found is sometimes it's, with most messages, I'll do it as a scheduled post and send it to a group of people. But for example, for my new members every month, I actually pull up each person and then I'll look in their contact, pull up a name, and then I'm going to go and check their chat, open their chat to see the messages that I would have sent to that person and notice like, okay, well, they're not actually responding, and figure out more information about that specific person, because sometimes like you've actually already sent a message, but you didn't remember, or you didn't realize that they were, sometimes it includes people that it shouldn't. So I always check that too, if I'm sending to a smaller group of people, just to make sure like what was the actual conversation that I had. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oops. Trying to think what else I can tell you. But I think that's a great idea to do the big thread and share a bunch of codes.
Cool. It means. I think I asked all that.
Now I gotta learn all this.
Like, it's a lot of information.
It's been on my list for over a year to get Project Broadcast going. So I know I need to do it. Like I know it's time. I just need to do it. So yeah. This is the year of systems.
Totally. One cool thing with Project Broadcast is your account, like your credits don't ever expire. Right. So when Jake approached us like probably 2 years ago, I can't remember, it was forever ago that Project Broadcast started. Adam, myself, Jamie Flayman, like a few of us signed up right away, but then he didn't have any Canadian content. So I never used it forever. Like it's a year and I was still paying $10, but then I had all of these credits and was able to like send a message to the whole downline and use quite a bit more for things. So that's one cool, benefit is your credits don't ever expire, and it's simple to, if you're going to do a text class or do extra things, you can add, like he has custom amounts that you can add more credits, and it's like fairly reasonable, so you don't always have to add a massive amount, but you can start with like $5 add-on or a $10 add-on, and it tells you how many credits that it would allow you to add. So sometimes throughout the month I've had to add extra. I now upped my plan just because I had a few months in a row of that happen. One recommendation is always to verify how many credits you have before you send a message, because you don't want to run out of credits halfway through.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That gets complicated. It's fixable, but it's just way more of a headache. I can't even remember how Mel's obviously had that happen too. And I was messaging with Jake, like, what is happening? And then he's like, do you have credit? And I thought I had enough, but obviously, like, and sometimes you've got to think of, okay, do I have enough credits to cover the initial message plus if there's the replies going on? So if you have a campaign, that's 5 credits per message to one person. So if you're sending it to 500 people, well, then you times that by 5. So then you need much more.
So far, I haven't even run into the, like, having to check my credits. I don't even know where to find that. I'm sure it's easy. I just haven't looked for it. I haven't needed to. So that's good. But I should maybe check that. I only send 3 a month. So, and that's excluding Mel's crew. So she's got the bulk of it.
Check your messages. All you would do, so along the left-hand side, the 3 bars, the more tab, you click on your stats, and it's going to tell you how many available you have, your outbound, all like your stats of like how many massive amounts of messages you've sent.
Okay.
And then to add more credits, you just scroll down to the subscription and you click buy credits.
Oh yeah.
And then you can, it's a drop down menu of how many, if you want to spend $1,000 and get 50,000 credits, you can do that. You can get like, figure out how many you actually need. So one thing to note too, because when I upped my subscription, so there's the option to buy credits or change subscription. When you buy credits, so if you're halfway through a month and you're running out, when you buy credits, it's automatic. Like you'll see them update within a couple of minutes. But if you update your subscription, because I did this thinking, oh, well, I'll just upgrade and then I'll have all these credits. Well, it wasn't until the following cycle. So I had to wait 2 weeks. So then I updated it plus had to buy credit the 1 month and it was a gong show. But so it's just to know the difference between those.
Right.
And I think, sometimes it's just starting to use the tool, and then slowly you'll just understand a new thing. And so, Dana, when we were talking about the opt-in, that's the term for that is called a keyword. So you would have a keyword like the Friday sale. So for the Black Friday, I had Friday sale, which then people reply with that keyword. So I set up a new keyword, and then down here on the right, it says join campaign. So I had to select and add a specific campaign into that keyword. So it'll
see, now that you show me that would be nice, I guess. Because those are things that I just create, right? I just grab a graphic and I just quickly write something up and I create it that day when it's a sale item or a promo item or something like that, right? But just having the link there ready to go would be handy in the spur of the moment when you don't know when they're going to have a promo.
And they don't so for project or for Engagement Source, they don't have everything, but like Black Friday, they had US and Canada. They didn't do anything for Boxing Day, but I opted to not send anything that time.
Yeah.
More of just Christmas messages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But their keywords are always attached to either a campaign or you can select a template, like a one message.
Okay. Okay. One more question that I have for you, Megan, was something to do with not keywords, but the tag. Can you delete tags without deleting the contact? Because if I'm correct, if you delete the contact, then you could potentially be re-adding them when like importing a new contact list, and they could be a do not message person.
So one thing,
if you delete the contact,
right, is you never ever need to delete a contact.
Okay.
Ever. You don't ever edit that. What you do is every month or every time that you send a message, you import a new list for that specific group of people. So right. Is this my whole team for monthly promos, or is this my business group, or is this 5 core leaders that I'm working with to remind them of a Zoom call? So then you would pull the list of those specific people. And then when in your contacts, I wonder if I can.
Because I'm not very green, but that is one part that I'll say is annoying to me, is that like you import a new list every time you're sending something, yes, but I just tag them whatever. But it would be nice, I guess, if I could organize that a little bit better somehow. Like the business builders that aren't going anywhere, right? Give them a tag that I could just easily pull it up instead of importing the whole new list. They're in there already.
Right.
That type of thing, right?
The thing with, if you don't import a new list, what if you had a new star or a new senior star that wasn't added into that already, and it was from 4 months ago?
Right.
So people are always changing. So I think in some ways that's why it's good to always quickly do a new list.
Yeah.
So Dana, tag means when you import a new list, you apply what's called a tag, which would just be like, so for new members, you could say new January 2019, which means new members for that month, or promos January 2000 we're 2020 now. Hello. But whatever that list is. So when you're sending the message, you can pull basically that list of people by that name that you tag them.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have questions, Dana? Or are you just kind of taking it in for?
I'm taking it in. I'm going to go look at that website some more and prices and all of that and decide what I'm not, like I also have to take myself off of other things that I'm not using. So it's a clean house month and then organize.
Totally.
And get moving. Yeah.
Yeah. And
you'll love it. Honestly, once you get started, you will love Project Broadcast. It's great. Like no matter how much you use it, and I'm not someone who uses it to its fullest potential by any means. But what I have done with it, I've definitely had good feedback from. It's just a way to connect with people on a more personal level, especially when I haven't met a lot of them.
Yeah.
So.
And I love the engagement source that they actually give the tutorials right there for each one too. So I'm like, oh, that's good. I think that's really valuable.
And Jake's Living Project Broadcast page also has like videos on import. So you know, if you didn't want to jump into that subscription yet, or you can try it for a month and cancel. You know what I mean? Like all of these things are really easy to cancel.
Yeah. I was gonna say that, Dana. When I got started with Project Broadcast, I literally booked myself the whole afternoon off for Project Broadcast, and I went and watched all the tutorial videos, and then I would do it because I just thought to myself, I'm a learn by doing kind of person, but I knew if I didn't do that, I was gonna get partway through something and I would be lost and then I would give up. That's just how I am. So I spent a solid afternoon watching every tutorial, and I did not find it complicated because I watched the tutorials from the start. But I know a lot of people get frustrated with it and shut down. So my recommendation, if it works for you, is just go watch the videos and figure it out. And then I agree with Danny, you'll love it once you start to use it, and then it just kind of just makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just do.
I know Leah's kind of a running buddy for you. Hey, is she using Project Broadcast?
No, so she has it, but she's the same thing. She hasn't done it yet. So yeah.
Mel trained me in a lot of different ways. So it does work together.
Yeah.
Sit down. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. I've got to get running though for school pickup.
Yeah, I need to go too. I can hear the kids running wild, so I'm gonna go and feed them.
Okay.
But thanks, you guys.
Did you guys get the event? I don't know about you, but I'm like so addicted to this thing. I wish I could buy like 1 million of them to gift to people, because every meeting now I'm like stimulating my brain with this little thing that was in the.
Yeah.
Did you have the Advent, Mel? It was in there.
Oh, no, I didn't get it. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I love it.
I see it now.
It's really neat. Yeah.
I don't know what it's a reflexology ring, and literally I roll it on my fingers like all the time when I'm working now. It's like makes my brain feel alive.
Good. That's so good.
Okay. Oh yeah, we can start some bundles to share, and yeah.
Thank you.
You guys have questions? Just I don't know. I don't know everything. So it's all just kind of chat, even have a chat thread or something. But
That's awesome. And thanks, Megan, too, because I used kind of your class last week, your wellness class, like your goal setting class as a base. And I kind of made one for my team last night, and we did it, and it was so good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually got it from Flamin, who got it through a Crown Diamond in the States. So it's been like filtering through people and edited and changed, but it's so good.
Yeah, it was super, super good response, and people seemed to be really interactive, and it was really good. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, girls.
All right.
Have a good day. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya. Thanks. Bye.